Hey everybody, I'm Sierra.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of your original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Okay, I took a nap today. I feel like I owe everyone an apology.
You probably do. You always owe people apologies.
Just a blanket apology.
I just...
No, this episode might be, first off, it's after dark. We just ate an amazing dinner that I'm still thinking about.
I love mashed potatoes.
Yes, I know you do. But I laid down this afternoon to take a nap. And I haven't napped like that for the longest time.
You got after it.
I got after it.
You got after that nap.
I did. And I woke up and I was like, oh, it can't be too much later. I was thinking maybe hour 15, hour 45, most. Nope. I have been asleep for almost 3 hours.
I don't remember the last time I've taken a 3-hour nap.
A 3-hour nap is excessive.
I'm here for it.
The best part is, no joke, I feel like I could lay down right now and go back to sleep.
Then that's a good nap.
I still feel like a little kind of discombobulated. Took me a while to make dinner because I felt like I just was moving slow.
You felt like you were in low gear.
Yeah. And then I ate a delicious dinner, and now I feel like I've even dropped it down a little bit.
All right.
So
it could get rough.
Buckle up.
Do you just want to call it? We can just call it.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for joining us on this week's episode. We'll
come back next week.
No. But
it's worth a shot. We could try.
98th.
No.
Nope.
Nice
99th episode. You guys, next week is 100 episodes.
I can't believe.
Ben's taking his glasses off, you guys. He's got his head in his hands.
The thought of how many hours I've spent with this show.
Yeah.
It is infuriating.
Well, you guys, show Ben some love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review. It's been 100 episodes. He's been here with us the whole time, watching a show and recapping it and having to do deep dives into something that he never once thought he would have to do.
A show I thought I'd put in my rearview mirror and never look back.
Yep.
And here I am.
And here you are.
All right. I can't think about it because it just makes me angry.
But have you had fun doing the podcast?
I've said this at the time you and I get to spend together and doing a hobby has been very fun. Do
you enjoy any part of just learning how to research or look through? I've been finding reading through old newspapers pretty fun.
I will say I've dived into old newspapers more on some of these because some actually don't have a lot at all. But I do enjoy that. That's kind of fun, but
doing a little bit of but
that's only because I have to, if someone was like, hey, what do you want to do in your free time? I wouldn't be diving into old newspapers,
Well, some of the old newspapers get pretty unhinged. There used to be a time where people would report their daily comings and goings in these small towns, and it's unhinged.
Yeah, I would have loved to actually, because this is going to make me sound really old, but I used to read the newspaper regularly. I don't know if I've told this.
As a teenager?
As a young adult.
What? We've been married since young adult, and we've never once had a newspaper subscription.
I know. I did it in college. When I went to Portland Community College, I would go, I had an early morning class, and then I had a break, and I would go in to the little cafeteria area, and I would get something cheap because I was cheap,
Because you were a poor college student. Yeah.
Poor college kid. And they had newspaper was free there.
Yeah.
And they had a stack. And I would grab the newspaper and I would sit and eat and I would read the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
I would look through stories, things I was interested in, and I would read it
You got after
regularly.
the sports columns?
Yeah, obviously I would read the sports because I was back then I was into the Blazers or whatever else was going on in Portland. But yeah, but it wasn't a small town newspaper.
No, Portland's a pretty big city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would read the paper regularly.
Very interesting.
So that was my daily routine.
All
right, enough of that.
Okay.
Let's move on. What do we got? Where was this season? Season 5, episode
4. 5, 4.
6, 7.
You guys, Ben and I think we might have talked about this. We've decided that if you are annoyed with something that younger people are doing, and by younger, we mean this was like a junior high trend, this 6, 7 thing. All we have to do is become united as adults, especially parents.
Mm-hmm.
We do it cringe a few times in front of our children. And like that, the trend is gone.
Yeah. Our youngest loved 6, 7.
Yep.
Until you and I started saying it in their way. Now he hates it.
Yep.
Mission accomplished.
Exactly. All right. Nope. So we are recapping season 5, episode 4 of our beloved show, Unsolved Mysteries. Like I said, you guys, this is 99 episodes that we've talked about. We've talked about a lot of missing people. We've talked about unsolved cases. We've talked about extraterrestrials. That's definitely how you say it. Don't even question it. I'm a professional podcaster at this point. Bigfoot, Yetis, supernatural. We've talked about ghosts. We've talked about psychics and so many things. But one thing that we talk about every single episode is how much Ben and I would love for you to leave us a 5-star rating and review. So please.
That was good. That was a good. I am impressed. I did not see you going there.
Mm-hmm.
That was smooth.
I'm a professional.
That was smooth.
Yeah, we're still getting
except for
Ben to work on
extraterrestrial.
the yes and thing when I make a joke. But you guys, I promise by episode 200, he'll have it.
If we're still here,
we will still be here. Anyways, leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Please share our podcast with a friend or on a social media post or a Reddit thread, anywhere else that you see people talking about true crime. We'd really appreciate it. Find us on social media. We love interacting with you guys. You can find us at Unsolved Couple Pod. We are on TikTok, Instagram, and Unsolved Couple Pod discussion group on Facebook. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to email us unsolvedcouplepod@gmail.com. You can also shoot us a DM. And right now, I still have some of our really cool stickers that I made for CrimeCon Las Vegas. Not the card ones. I think I'm out of that, but are like kind of like broken, sliced up, trippy ones. If you leave us a 5-star review, recommend us to a friend or any of those kinds of things above, if you take a screenshot, shoot it to me via Instagram or an email. I will see that, respond to you. We'll have a little conversation, and I'll drop a little thank you card and sticker in the mail for you. Ben loves getting to sign those.
Love it.
All right. I will start us out. I'm telling you guys a story that is titled as Wanted.
I will say this episode, it was better than last week. I don't even remember what was last week. I just remember I didn't care for it.
You really did not care for last week's stories. You really did. You had a thing about them.
I did, and I still.
The best part, it wasn't even your normal triggers.
No, sometimes I've learned in life, I kind of get triggered by things randomly, and then later on they don't trigger me.
I think that's just called being an old man.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
3 stories.
In Oklahoma, automobile. Okay. I wrote down this exact line from Robert Stacks because he says a word that I thought was amazing. So, quote, In Oklahoma, automobile license plates are distributed through privately owned franchise called tag agencies. These businesses keep little cash on hand. Nevertheless, they have become tantalizing targets for thieves who traffic in stolen cars. End quote. Did you catch the word there?
Tantalizing.
Tantalizing is a poetic word. Not what I would have normally put with automobile plates. But the hand gestures Ben is making at the moment, I cannot say because there are preschool toys that listen to this podcast. So did you know this about Oklahoma? Have you ever seen this? Because you've lived in Indiana. We've lived in Idaho.
This
we've lived
was
in a
the
few
70s,
states.
I think.
This is still a thing now. Tag agencies. At least I looked it up today and it was like tag agencies near you, and there was a handful of businesses.
Well, I know even in Arizona, when you do your registration, you can do it through a third party. Because I had to go to one when we bought one of our cars.
Yeah.
It seems shady to me, if you ask me.
I agree.
I don't know if it's the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah. This was just for license plates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, Oklahoma. Let us know wherever you are if that's a thing in your state, because I'd never seen this. And we've lived in several states, but I've always lived on the kind of west side. This is the farthest east I've ever lived.
I guess technically when I went through that third-party place, they sent us the plate.
Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't a part of that transaction.
Yeah.
That was on a Ben deal with that.
Yeah,
list.
It was a mess, and I won't get it. It's a long story. Yeah, it's a very long story, and I'm not going to get into it.
There was something weird.
But what I'm saying is, so technically I went through like, obviously, like they have some like certification through the state to do it, obviously. But yeah.
I have a lot of questions about that whole transaction because we bought other cars before and never had to do some of the stuff we had to do with that car.
Let's just say when I got done, without doing anything, but because of my interaction with the people that we bought the car, the motor vehicle department and the state, a state investigator called me to interview me about the place we bought the car from. Yeah. Not that we were in trouble, had done anything.
No, I can't believe.
But I'm pretty sure they got in huge trouble.
It wasn't like stolen or something, and we weren't allowed to own it. Anyways, so that's the location of our crime today. So just after 8 a.m. on September 1st, in 1978, two men pull up in front of a tag agency in Catacos. That's probably not at all. Catacos, Oklahoma, which is a suburb of Tulsa. When they entered, they pulled bandanas over their face. Classic. Pulled out guns and announced, "This is a robbery." I don't think anyone.
This is a stick-up. Ain't nobody move.
We've watched too much Toy Story recently. That is the second Toy Story reference in the first 15 minutes of this episode. So, first off, I don't think anyone was questioning what was happening, but one of the employees actually happened to be on the phone.
I was going to ask, how did they get the police?
Yeah, so I did find out.
Okay.
In the reenactment, she is on the phone, but again, you don't know exactly what.
All right.
But I did find out she was actually on the phone. So she said very quickly before hanging up, "We're being robbed, call the police." Both employees are taken to the front of the store. They are tied up and duct taped, held at gunpoint by one of the men while the other one starts taking photographic material, and blank registration and title forms. I'm going to guess, right? Because these are stolen cars. If they can change that information, then the car doesn't show up as stolen if the plate gets ran. Yeah.
Maybe.
So this is also, even having grown up in a small town, there was only one police officer on duty. And it seemed like that happened a lot. And not that there was just one police officer, but like that he was usually the only one on duty. I couldn't find how many there was at the time, but he was a 46-year-old man, and he was the chief. His name was J.B. Hamby, and he had been in the law enforcement for 24 years and had devoted his entire basically adult life to law enforcement. His brother's interviewed, and his name is also David, which is kind of confusing because we're going to find out that the suspect's name is also David. But they're two different people, obviously. So according to his brother, he was on call for hours at a time and wouldn't get much sleep. He would come home, shower, change his clothes, and just kind of head right back out to work. For people that were, quote, on the wrong side of the law, he was relentless and would become their worst nightmare.
He talks about it like the Wild West.
Well, okay.
Which I'm here for.
It's very interesting that you actually say that, because in some of the articles I read, they almost reference him back to, in several places, he's kind of referred to as having that mindset. He was like the sheriff, or I mean, he's the chief. So he's not a sheriff. He's in the police department, not the sheriff's department. But that's kind of what his vibe was, and kind of how the town allowed it to be, because they didn't have a ton of crime. But yeah, like he would go home, shower, change, eat, and go back to the station.
He kept his city safe.
Yeah. So JB receives a call about the robbery and immediately heads towards the tag agency. When he enters, he also yells freeze. And one of the robbers at this point turns the gun on him. And JB then returns fire. Soon, there's an exchange between both the robbers and the chief. 20 rounds. And this was a small little like office building. These don't take up a lot of space. 20 rounds ricocheted through the store in a matter of seconds. One of the robbers was killed on scene. The other was hit twice, but somehow managed to escape. Thankfully, neither of the women who worked at the tag agency were hurt. Sadly, JB was not so lucky. He actually had been struck by a bullet. He staggers out of the agency, bleeding profusely. He attempted to reload his gun in case the other robber came back, and realizing that he was injured, he walks into the laundromat, which was next door, and collapsed on the floor. At least it appears through the reenactment that they knew who he was. The town was small enough, because she calls him by the name in the reenactment.
Only law enforcement, you know his name.
So one employee calls an ambulance while the other stayed and was trying to get him to stay engaged with her. And so she was having him repeat the Lord's Prayer, Our Father who art in heaven, so on and so forth, back to him. She would say it and he would repeat it back. Sadly, he died before finishing the end of the prayer, and he left behind a wife and 2 children.
So sad.
Yeah. So one of the robbers, the one who was dead at the scene, his name was Jackie Ray Young. He was shot through the head by his own ricocheting bullet.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah. I will say, that is what Unsolved Mysteries reports. That is what several other people report. I did find in my research some other places that's kind of become this weird like urban legend around it, that it's kind of a crazy thought to think that he ricocheted and self-inflicted. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm just saying, I don't know if that's been verified by an actual like law enforcement source. Not that it really matters or anything. It's a crazy shot to think about.
Yeah, you just don't hear ricochet.
A ricochet bullet going through someone's head.
But I mean, I don't know. At the same time, it's like they're not trying to cover up that he shot him. No. They got in a gunfight.
Yeah.
If he shoots him, it's a gunfight. Such a small
little town that maybe they just didn't put a ton of research into it.
That's very possible.
And they just assumed with the amount of, gunfire going around that.
I mean, they did put some research into the officer's death.
Yes, and I'm just saying into that death.
Yeah, maybe they didn't dig in deep onto it if it was from his slug or his own.
Yeah, because at this point now we've got 1 man missing. So I think we've got the chief of police is dead and a man missing. I think that became the priority other than trying to figure out we know the guy died with a gunshot through his head. Yeah. The second robber was apprehended 2 hours later while being treated for gunshot wounds at a local hospital. He was a 25-year-old man named David Gordon Smith, the son of a prominent couple from Stillwater, Oklahoma. At first, he thought he was being arrested for armed robbery. He then learns, as he's being taken in, that he's being booked on charges of first-degree murder. During the trial in April of 1979, he claimed that he participated in the robbery under duress because Young, the man who was dead, had threatened to kill him. The two were neighbors and that they had kind of worked together on an insurance scheme. When he got into Young's car to finish up like moving and hiding his personal vehicle to claim the insurance money, Young pointed a gun at him and forced him to be involved in a robbery. He also claimed that he did not actually kill JB, that was Young holding both the guns, shooting rapid fire. Pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, okay.
Do people actually do that? Wait, I'm just like, there's all these Wild West work where they like double draw, and I'm like, left and right-handed gun pull seems a little insane. I'm pretending to shoot Ben right now with my finger guns. Pew, 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 pew.
That escalated.
But you know how to draw and fire a weapon. Can you imagine doing a double-sided one?
I mean, my name is Wyatt Earp, maybe.
Did Wyatt Earp do that famously?
No, I don't think so.
Or was that just...
I don't. I don't know. I didn't live in the Wild West,
Oh,
and I've
didn't?
never seen someone do it.
In real life. You've never seen... And you've done some shooting competitions and stuff. There's no...
No, that's not a thing.
Double fisting.
No. All right. Can we move on, please?
Yeah, I warned you guys it was going to get crazy in here. Okay. So, yeah, apparently he claimed that his friend was rapid firing 2 guns and he had nothing to do with it. So, however, ballistic tests that were performed proved that the bullet that killed JB had been, in fact, fired by the gun that had been registered to Smith. So, the investigators were able to account for every bullet fired and determine whose gun it came from based on trajectory, and they were able to tell each person who and what they'd done. Furthermore, employees testified that both robbers were wielding a gun, and in the end, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, that's not why we're here.
No.
Nope. I just gave you all that information for funsies.
Well, we need to understand why he went to jail.
Assuming that we were going to be looking for...
You think you're looking for the killer. You're not.
You're not.
Because he's about to escape jail. I know. I gave it away. Can you believe that?
You spoiled that for everybody.
I think we started out with a wanted individual. But the way he escapes is wild.
Yeah. This is not just your standard...
Nope.
Prison break.
Never heard of this.
Never have.
So strange.
I agree.
All right. Tell us.
So, June 15, 1979, Smith begins serving a life sentence in the Oklahoma prison system. He was a tragic story of a good boy gone bad. That's a direct quote. The son of a respected university professor, this had been his first and only brush with the law. And he decided that he was going to become a model prisoner. According to Jim Nelson of the Oklahoma Department of Corrections, Smith was a good prisoner. He was well liked by not only staff, but also by other inmates. He served his time. His behavior remained excellent. Eventually, according to Oklahoma law, he was given, quote, trustee status and was given a job of monitoring equipment at the prison's reservoir. He was also assigned to live and work all by himself at a small water pumping station next to the reservoir and was checked on every hour by the prison guards.
This is wild.
I couldn't find if this reservoir was even within the prison, like, fencing system.
Doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't sound like it.
Listen, I understand that people go to jail and that they get work release, they get things. I'm not against that.
No.
But this guy's a murderer.
Mm-hmm.
kind of against that.
I would think, wouldn't this be something more maybe in like a minimum security?
A guy that maybe hasn't committed a violent crime.
So he's not looking at life in prison. So he has a reason to leave. If someone's only doing 3 to 5 years, it's not, in my mind, the math is not worth it to.
I'm just saying, maybe we shouldn't put someone that was committed a violent crime to the point where they killed someone.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a felony murder charge.
Unsupervised place. Just because you check on them every hour.
Well, and I imagine too, and this is me making an assumption, if this is outside the prison system walls, the actual liability that every hour a prison guard actually showed up and checked that off the list every 24 hours of the day, they are understaffed historically and stretched thin. I cannot imagine that the guy at the watershed is top priority to get there every hour. But we don't, I mean, that's just me just being like, dude, this seems like a huge, I see a lot of ways that this could go wrong. But on top of that, he was actually granted unsupervised furloughs for doctor's appointments. He was allowed to go on weekend fishing trips. He participated in a 10K running event. He was also allowed to buy a house. And then
he wasn't in jail. He literally was not in jail.
This is the best part. Financially, his meals in bed are covered by the state.
That's what I'm saying. He's not in jail, but we're giving him housing, food.
I'm like, how do I sign up for this? Like, he's got a job. He's got a roof over his head. He's got a bed.
This sounds like government programs.
He's allowed to go run a 10K. I don't have time to train for a 10K right now because I have a life to live.
Well, they go on to say he finds a girl and gets married.
No, they were dating beforehand, but he was allowed to get married he bought her a house. Yeah.
This guy's serving a life sentence.
Yeah. So on June 26, 1982, with permission of the prison authorities, he was married to a young woman named Jo Beth. The two had met a year earlier. Oh, I guess, no, okay. This is somebody that met a year earlier when she'd come to visit the prison with a friend. I have a lot of questions about that. Maybe I'm getting mixed up. He was engaged to somebody else at the time of the robbery. I just assumed it was the same person. It's not.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Also, who is going?
We've had this conversation before, and I don't understand it, but it still happens
today. David, the brother of the fallen police officer, has a lot of questions as to why Smith is given all of these treatments.
I'm with you, brother. Yeah. I have questions too.
He's serving hard time for what he did. This was a felony crime. And in 1984, a full 10 years ahead of schedule, Smith is actually granted his first parole hearing. At the hearing, he told the parole board that he had gotten a job, he had a clean record, he'd gotten married, he was going to church.
What year is this?
What year? 1984.
He's been in jail for 5 years. 5 years on a life sentence for murder.
It was 15 to life. So yeah, his first parole shouldn't have been heard until 15 years.
I'm saying he's only done 5 years for a murder.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we're going to find out. He ends up being denied parole. So, and they actually think that one of the reasons he was denied parole is because a ton of local residents appeared at the hearing and protested him kind of getting this. In the end, he is, denied parole. However, he did retain his trustee status and continued his job at the lake. For more than a year, he remained a model prisoner, but October 28th, 1985, a prison guard stopped for his regular 1 a.m. check of Smith's sleeping quarters at the Jackie Brandon Correctional Center. Instead of Smith, there was a dummy in his bed. He had made a clean getaway. They believe that Smith walked from his station to the nearest highway, which was only about a mile away. He was then picked up by his wife, Jo Beth, and went into McAllister, which is only about another mile, and mailed 2 letters. Authorities had learned that the week before the escape, Jo Beth had closed out her bank account, sold all of her furniture, and borrowed $1,000 from some friends, and told a travel agent she was going to Mexico. Never mentioned anything about her husband, and it appeared she did not go to Mexico. So 4 months later, 1986, Smith is sighted with a female companion in Fort Smith, Arkansas, just 90 miles from the prison. The authorities were notified. By the time they arrived, he had vanished. Bada bing, bada boom. FBI believes that Smith is dangerous today and will do whatever is necessary to try to escape. David wants to see Smith serve his time. He thinks that the most unjust thing to ever happen, rightfully so. He already felt slighted, and then this guy walks away. According to David, JB loved his job as a police officer, gave 24 hours a day to his community, and then this person took his life and then wasn't even taken seriously when he was locked up. So, although Jo Beth is not wanted for any crime, they want us to know, authorities believe that she and Smith are traveling and living together. We're given a picture, some information, and that is where Unsolved Mystery leaves us.
All right. Update.
Okay. Captured. When the story first aired, police received more than 75 leads. None of those panned out. So the story aired again in 1993. At that time, a small South Dakota town, the right viewer was watching. He recognized Smith, and the next day anonymously called local authorities, gave him Smith's location. They immediately contacted the FBI. According to the viewer, Smith was working as a service manager at an automobile dealership in Spearfish, South Dakota, under the name Gary Johnson. March 4th, agents of the FBI and local authorities went into the dealership and arrested Smith without incident. He admitted to who he was. Jo Beth was actually originally arrested at their ranch in Two-Bit Gulch and charged with aiding and abetting the escape. She had been living under the name Bobby Johnson. Betsy Johnson is a clothing brand, different person.
It is.
Yep. They've been living in the area since 1987.
So they went there pretty quickly after.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I couldn't find out why, but the aiding and abetting charges against Jo Beth were dropped. And it seems like they never came after her for anything. At one point, she faced charges of a parole violation and released to a drug possession conviction. I found out she worked as a nurse and was stealing major narcotics from her hospital. I think she stole Versasat, something like that. I can't remember. Old-timey fentanyl, basically. She told everyone that she was going to use them to take her own life because she was worried that they were going to get caught. That didn't end up actually happening. So officers, the charges were later dismissed, but it's not known kind of why nothing else came from that. So Smith is returned to Oklahoma, where he's classified as a maximum security inmate and sent to maximum security prison. He received an additional 4 years for the escape. In 1994, Jo Beth contacted several witnesses and juries in the 79 trial, both in person and on the phone, claiming to have evidence that would prove his innocence. They contacted the sheriff's office because you're not allowed to do that, Jo Beth. However, nothing could be done because she wasn't the person directly. She wasn't threatening or intimidating them, but she was harassing them. It was this weird gray area. And also the trial had nothing to do with her personally. So it wasn't like he was doing it. So she actually passed away in 2003, only at the age of 49. And they were still married and owned a home together, even though he was in prison. So Smith has had a parole hearing since 2001. Every time they've been denied, I looked him up. As of today, he is still with the Department of Corrections for the state of Oklahoma.
Good.
Yep. So there you guys go. It looked like this was featured twice on Unsolved Mysteries and once on America's Most Wanted. But
good.
Yeah.
I mean, he still got out and got like, what, 8 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But all right, Ben's got to get his notes.
I'm getting my notes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Are you ready?
Always.
November 8th, 1985. A Jaguar is on fire. Not an animal, but a car.
I love that you looked at me and answered the question before I could even ask it, because
You thought
I was like, wait a minute, when did a Jaguar become involved?
No, a car. In a rice field 20 miles outside of Houston, Texas. Inside this car is a burned body. It is charred. It's bad. The car is registered to an Edward Gerald Baker, and the remains are forensically identified. We don't know how forensically is done because DNA wasn't.
Wait, what year was this?
1985, I know.
Whoa.
They kept using that word, but they never tell us how.
I wonder if this is on Forensic Files. Did you look up and see if this has been covered on Forensic Files?
No.
Ugh, one of my favorites. We should do a podcast about recapping Forensic Files.
No. Stop coming up with podcast ideas. All right. Baker. So the remains were identified as Baker, and we learned that Baker was a Texas oil millionaire. Are you good? That was really loud.
Yeah, sorry. That was an aggressive sneeze.
It was loud. All right. He owned a company called Vanguard Group International. It was one of the fastest growing companies in the U.S. Mary Walker is interviewed. This is his second wife. We don't actually ever learn about his first wife. He has multiple wives.
Because they're also not married. Him and his second wife, we're going to find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So she tells us, I'm really confused. She clearly has a lot of non-animosity towards him. He managed his business honestly and with integrity.
Sure,
and
Jan.
I only say that because we're going to learn that's all a lie. So he started promoting oil exploration in 1980.
Exploration, like seeking out oil?
That's what I put in my notes.
Now you're questioning it?
And I'm questioning my notes, but so I tried
we
to
know
look.
It wasn't exploitation because you can't exploit oil.
Well, and I think so he would get guys to invest. I tried to find out what this whole business was. He would get guys to invest. He would say oil wells would come in and they would get, and he was selling clever tax shelters to investors. And I looked it up. Did some research on it. 1980 and the late 70s, this started because of the massive energy crisis we were having. And so the government was trying to give tax breaks for people that would invest in energy so that we could up our energy production.
Well, I have a 3-wheeled vehicle I could sell you.
Yeah, sure. Sure, Jan. It gets a little muddy and I don't know this stuff. And so somehow when people were investing this money, it was for very wealthy people because you had to invest a lot of money, but then it was huge tax breaks for them to do that. So he was selling this stuff to wealthy people to get them to invest in this stuff. And Houston was booming with oil at this time. That's when it started in that. I don't know a lot about that time and that history and what was happening there.
But we're also going to find out this is a Ponzi scheme, isn't it?
It's not a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it's not a Ponzi scheme.
This was a legitimate business?
This was a legitimate thing that they were doing back then. The government got him involved later on because it was being abused and they tried to close up the loopholes of what people were doing to take advantage of. I know we can get into
being abused if there was loopholes, but they figured out ways to take advantage of what the government.
Those are my words I'm using. I'm trying to make sense of it, and I don't really know because I don't completely understand it.
And this still happens today.
Of course, I know. I knew we could get into. I knew it was going to go to his. Do you want to have a conversation about that? I don't want to eating. I don't want to have a conversation of this because yes, we can have a conversation about a lot of things.
Uber wealthy barely pay taxes.
Anyways, I don't want to get into these things.
That's a podcast for another day, right?
So this company started with just 3 employees, and within 4 years, its sales were at 19 million, which in the early 80s, that's a lot. So, but as Ed became more and more successful, he began to change. Okay. And in March of 1984, he divorced Mary, the lady who spoke of how he tried to manage his business.
Mary's wife number 2.
Yeah. I don't know who wife number 1 is. That's what it said on Unsolved Mysteries, that she was wife number 2.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
So, she said he then just decides to divorce her in March of 1984. They'd been married for 10 years. And he starts getting into high stakes gambling. He also has 2 facelifts, and that should tell you everything you need to know. Dudes don't get facelifts.
2 facelifts?
2. Guys don't get facelifts.
Well, and in the 80s, facelifts were rough.
Also, Robert Stack wants us to know that he started taking disco lessons. I don't know how that comes into play. I don't know if that's considered like.
And it was found in a Jaguar. This is really giving midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Divorced his wife. Wasn't he dating, or did he marry like the secretary or something?
Yeah, then he buys a new Jaguar. September 1984, he gets remarried, but then files for divorce 5 months later. We don't know who that was to. And then 4 days after that gets done, he marries Sandy Hoff, who was one of his employees. Did
we find out how old she was?
No, I don't know. Yeah. Anyways. So, but by 1984, 85, his company is crumbling because that's when the government started closing loopholes and doing things like that. So people are not. The
government's like, oh, you're making money? Yeah, no, that can't be allowed.
So people just aren't investing in this anymore. So he's now borrowing money from his company and borrowing money from investors to pay for his lifestyle. So he's
where
skimming.
This kind of becomes a Ponzi-ish because he's robbing Peter to pay.
Well, he's selling a crappy product. He's trying
to get more investors so that he can pay off old investors and keep his lifestyle. Yeah. Because
he keeps thinking
it's going to come back.
This market's going to come back. It's going to come back. And guess what? It doesn't. So he's by October of 1985, investors are demanding their money. He's going bankrupt. His company's going bankrupt. And, we just, we get interviewed by his attorney, his personal attorney, Ward Bussey. And he's the one, he's telling us like, yeah, dude, things were spiraling out of control for this guy. And he says to the point where there was rumors that he was getting a bailout from a suspicious source. His private investigator, Ed Baker's private investigator, whose name is Bob Gale, he says that Ed comes to him and is like, listen, I'm trying to get this money to bail me out. But I think it's from some shady people. So he's like trying to do background checks on these people. He's trying to get money from a financial source in Florida, which Bob tells us might possibly have some mob ties. Shocking. I tell you what, I wrote this in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
The way the private investigator is talking, man, that guy knew more than what he was leading on to. He was so shady.
He was like...
He is beating around the bush so bad, not wanting to tell he knew more than what he was saying. That's all I'm saying. Seems shady to me. All right, November 6, 1985. Ed shows up at his ex-wife's house, Mary's.
So here's my question, though. He was looking into taking this money, but they never say if he did take the money.
I don't think anyone knows if he did or not.
Okay, because it goes off the rails pretty quickly here at this point, but...
Yeah.
All right.
No one knows.
A blanket assumption?
We don't know.
Okay.
No one says. So... like I said, November 6, 1985, he shows up at his ex-wife Mary's house. He's all distraught. He's disheveled. And he's telling her, for some reason, he wants to show up at her house, say, I'm getting death threats. He just that day had gotten 2 different phone calls telling him, this is the day you die. So he's upset. Mary says, why don't you call the police? He's like, well, Mary, they're not going to do anything until something happens. She's like, well, then get out of town. Don't go home. Do this. She's trying to help him. And he's like, you know what? You know what, Jan? I don't need your advice. I'm going home. So he just goes home. Not quite sure why he stopped by his ex-wife's house then.
Well, he also mentions, at least per the reenactment, like he didn't want to stress out or like...
I'm sorry to bring this to you. Well, you showed up at her house.
But also, didn't want to involve his new wife.
But he also says to Mary in the reenactment, I didn't want to get you involved in this. Then why'd you show up?
Then why did you show up at my door, my guy? Maybe there's some unresolved feelings there.
I don't think so.
Was it a booty call?
Anyways. So he goes home, tells his wife, Sandy, you need to get out of town.
I was just at my ex-wife's house, which I can imagine that conversation went well.
He says, listen.
He came home and was like, hey, things are real bad, but I went to my ex-wife before I came to you to talk about it. I think we would need to unpack a few things first.
That wouldn't happen only because I don't have an ex-wife.
That I know of.
Pretty certain I don't have one. If I have one, I don't even know. So he shows up, sends Sandy to Austin to say, listen, you need to be safe. People are trying to kill me. You need to get out of town. So she gets out of town. She says she spoke to him about 1 a.m. and he was holed up in his bedroom and that he'd even gotten another call that night telling him he was going to die. So 2 days later, November 8th, his car is found. In the passenger seat is his body, and the police, Harris County Sheriff's Department, tells us it appears that he'd been shot by a .32 caliber bullet. And they think that because, one, there's a bullet in his head, and there's a .32 caliber pistol on the floorboards. There's 3 gallons of gas cans, and it is clear that this car was started by gasoline. This is an arson fire, okay? This is going to get weird. As the police are investigating this, they're getting ready to leave. 1,500 feet. 1,500 feet.
I had so many questions.
Away is another dead body. A young man in his 20s, handcuffed and beaten to death.
Yeah. What?
We get the investigator, and he says, listen, come to find out this body has only been dead for a few hours. They think, hey, this might be related. I think that's a good call. They think maybe he's the one that killed Ed, and then they killed him to keep him quiet. Well, the police then just come say, we thought it was related, but we did actually come to find out it wasn't connected. This kid was killed over a dope deal and dumped in the area. And I quote, "This just happened to be a dumping area. A rice field outside of Houston, a dumping area."
Yeah.
How many bodies have you pulled out of there?
I would love, no more follow-up questions, please.
Yeah. It's not connected.
Nope.
We're just going to shut the questions down. It's a dumping area.
No more questions to be asked. We get no more information on this kid either.
Nope. So that same day that his body is found and all that, a letter arrives at the attorney's office. Ward Bussey, he says that in the letter, it says, "If you're reading this, then I'm already dead. Please take care of Sandy and the kids." And then there's another letter. And he's like, "Please give this letter to Sandy." So the wife, Sandy, lives in Europe now. She is convinced that he was killed by the mafia. There's an eyewitness that said that they saw a pickup truck speeding away from the area the night that he was supposedly killed. That pickup truck has never been identified. So, law enforcement believes, and I'm not making this up, he committed suicide. Yep. Because this is their evidence. The day prior to his death, he'd contacted his life insurance and asked if they would pay out for suicide. They don't.
I'm going to guess, and I'm just throwing this out there, is it possible that this man was so up to his eyeballs in debt and in stress, and then these death threats start coming in, that he considered taking his own life?
Possible.
Yeah, I think that's more possible than catching your car on fire.
They think he shot himself.
Shooting yourself.
They think he shot himself and then had an accomplice set the car on fire to make it look like a murder so that his life insurances would pay out.
That's a big leap we made.
And their whole reasoning for this is because the sheriff says, well, usually when people shoot themselves, the gun falls and we find it at their feet. And where the gun was in the car, it was at the floorboards.
It's also where people know to plant a gun, because
what are you thinking?
If you want to make it look like it, or it could have been someone who thought the car was going to be on fire, so that the gun being left there didn't matter.
Don't worry. So the wife hires a private investigator. His name is Keith Lyons. And they tell us this because you would think that he would bring something to the table. He doesn't. He just says he believes Ed was killed. He doesn't bring any evidence, any new information. We just get an interview with this random guy, and he just gets to decide to come on national television and tell us his opinion.
Well, that's why I asked, do we know who he borrowed this money from? Because there has to have been some sort of financial record or transaction. Did nobody look into that? This guy has a personal PI on retainer. So, we've had 2 private investigators and an attorney all involved in this.
Yeah. The attorney thinks he committed suicide because he's like, well, the letter said, if you're reading this, I'm already dead. Okay. An arson investigator comes on and he's like, listen, I've never known someone to start a car on fire and then be able to be rational enough to pull the trigger. So it doesn't really seem like a suicide to me, but hey, you know. And then his private investigator, the one that works for Ed, he thinks that Ed staged the whole thing, killed someone else, burned the car, and made off with money and is living. He's still alive somewhere. He doesn't bring us any evidence of that. I just am amazed at how many people get to come on and get to tell their opinions without bringing any evidence. Even the police don't bring any. Your evidence that he committed suicide is that there's a gun on the floorboards, but yet a car was started on fire after someone was shot.
Well, wasn't the gasoline found in the trunk?
It doesn't exactly. In the reenactment, it's there, but and then
Yeah.
And we just get to excuse the second dead body.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me.
No more questions. I already said no more questions about that.
What is the word I'm looking for?
Audacity?
Not the audacity. You're telling me that is the coincidence. That is a 1 in like a 10 million.
1,500 feet, you guys.
2 dead bodies.
It's not that far.
And one of them's not, and they're not related, and one of them's a suicide. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
At a known dumping ground.
All right. That's where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us.
Okay.
We have possible suicide, possible murder, possible still alive. Where's Ed Baker? What happened to Ed Baker?
What happened to Ed Baker?
He's dead. But how did he get there?
Mm-hmm.
We might never know.
All right. What's our update?
There is no update.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Whoa.
So the Trail Went Cold did a podcast on this, but there's not much more.
I love his work. The Trail Went Cold.
He does great
deep dives into. He's done a handful, and probably more than a handful, of just one-off cases that have been featured in Unsolved Mysteries. And his research, the stuff he's able to find and dig up, is incredible.
Yeah, he does a great job. I tried to find who this kid was. Couldn't find it.
That does make me kind of sad.
Absolutely. That's a terrible way to go. And handcuffed and beaten.
Yeah. And left for dead.
Not left for dead. He was beaten to death. Do you know who does that?
The mob.
Yeah.
Who it's likely this man borrowed money from and then couldn't pay it back. Or lied about getting the money somehow.
So, yeah. I mean, I did find out there was $10 million from the company that technically was never accounted for.
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
So the wife yeeted right out of the country and went to Europe
real quick. Is that also weird that she went to Europe?
Yep, I guess.
And they'd only been married for how long?
A year. Less than.
Yeah, I got some questions for her.
So I guess she took a polygraph, and we know how I feel about polygraphs, but hers was found inconclusive. They believe she was high. She knew more than what
she did know more.
They didn't think she was. They didn't say they thought she was a suspect, but
no. I also find the timing of her marriage to him very suspicious. Like I know a lot of people committing fraud and stuff and doing shady things will sometimes marry people because they think that then you can't be forced to testify against your spouse. So if they were in cahoots with something together, that's just me making a very broad stroke statement. I'm not alluding to that fact that this happened in this incident, but the timing seems a little crazy that they were married within days of his second or third divorce, but yet he's still best friends with his second wife, which seemed to be the only wife he cared about. But then his new wife says that she quote unquote leaves the house. He's terrified for his life, but then she doesn't hear from him for days. And that doesn't raise any suspicion to her. If you were telling me that you were getting threats for your life to the point where you were sitting in your room with a shotgun ready to defend yourself, and we talked at 1 a.m, and then I didn't contact you or you didn't for 2-3 days.
There's a lot of questions.
That's a lot of questions and how, who, what, where, when, why. Yeah. But that's crazy that there's nothing.
There's really.
He has kids. No one's pushing for this.
Yeah. I mean, I had read something that right after his death, there was some money paid out through his will and the company and that to all of his kids. And he had kids from multiple women, his older son. Making threats to his new wife. He was investigated. It just seems like kind of a mumbled mess.
He brings out the worst in people sometimes.
I mean, this guy was, I don't know. It's a weird story. And
yeah,
it just I was dumbfounded. Mm-hmm. that this was ruled a suicide.
Yeah. And sad for that. I hoped that boy's case was solved, but I doubt it was.
Like I said, I tried to find that.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't anything I could find on him, on that story, because I was curious of that.
You couldn't even find his name.
Because the police say he was killed over a dope deal. Okay, well, do you know that because you solved the case?
Or you're just making the assumption this guy took his own life?
Yeah. Because you're also telling me that a guy with a bullet in his head and his car set on fire did it to himself. Mm-hmm. He set his car on fire and then shot himself in the head.
Yeah.
And the only evidence you bring to me is because he contacted life insurance.
And that there was a gun in the car.
And there was a gun in the car. But yet then there's a second body and you're trying to say.
Not to be confused with the last time they thought something was a suicide here in the Phoenix area where there was no gun. And he was shot 12 inches on the opposite dominant side of his body.
It's just.
Yet both of those seem to have mob ties to them.
But this one is not solved. I mean, according to the police, it's solved. He committed suicide.
So they've never changed the update on manner of death?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Well, bada bing, bada boom. There you go. So the last story we're going to be talking about is a man named Mario Amado. And this is categorized as an unexplained death. For thousands of American tourists, the breathtaking sunsets of Mexico have always been an invitation for romance, fantasy, and adventure. I would 100% agree with that. In June of 1992, a 49-year-old man named Joe Amado and his 29-year-old brother, Mario, who was a welder, leave Los Angeles, California, or Los Angeles, as some of us might call it, with their girlfriends. And they are headed to Rosarita Beach, and that's in Mexico. And it's a popular seaside resort about 35 miles south of San Diego. So I think you have to drive through Tijuana, head down through, and hit this beach. But their weekend in the sun would soon turn into a nightmare. So the very next day of their vacation, so day 2, Mario's arrested after a fight with his girlfriend, and within 90 minutes, he would be found dead in his jail cell. Local authorities, and by local, I mean the local law enforcement down in Rosarita Beach, Mexico, claimed that he had taken his own life. Joe, his brother, is convinced that this was more likely a homicide than a suicide, and he is determined to figure out what really happened to him. So, sadly, Mario's not the first American tourist to pass away in a foreign jail. He and his family are not the first to be haunted by vague details of an official investigation. In fact, if you go back and listen to our coverage of the Amy Bradley case, we kind of talk about that too, because that's been one thing that's really come out since the Amy Bradley thing, and several other families have joined together to let people know what kind of things you can incur or deal with or obstacles to overcome if a family member, especially by unnatural causes, passes away while you are not within the United States. And a lot of the times they deal with the same thing. Facts are few and hard to find. Clues are almost impossible to seek out. However, Joe is determined to learn exactly what happened to his brother during his brief captivity. And as a result of his efforts, this case actually sparks an interest of high-level government officials, including an American congressman, and goes all the way up to the president of Mexico. So let's go back to the beginning. The Amado brothers arrived in Rosarita Beach just after 1 a.m. on June 6th, 1992. They stay at a condo owned by a relative of Mario's girlfriend. Her name is Paula. And Joe and his girlfriend, Deborah, eagerly accepted the invitation to come along. So the two couples load up their cars. They drive down to the beaches of Mexico. And this is in the summer, so it's beautiful weather. And they get in around 1 a.m. And what is the very first thing they do?
Drink.
Da, 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 da.
Party.
Da, 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 da. Tequila. Is that how the song goes? I think it's something like that.
No, I think you got that right.
I don't think if anyone even questioned my ability to sing that song beautifully and accurately, you're crazy, because that sounded exactly like it was playing on the radio. I'm surprised.
I thought the radio was on.
You thought the radio was playing.
Yeah, I did.
You no need to adjust your headsets, guys. That wasn't the radio. That was me singing the song for you. So they break into the tequila and they party. And here's the thing. They're all adults. They're in vacation mode.
The thought of starting at 1 a.m.
These people clearly did not have children, because
I'm already nauseous just thinking about that.
Arriving at your destination, especially because San Diego to Rosarito Beach is not that far of a drive. So they left really late. Getting in at 1 a.m. makes me nauseous.
But then to say,
let's not go to bed. Let's get after it. And they drank heavily till about 4 a.m.
That I'm nauseous just thinking about that. Just thinking of staying up that late.
No. Yeah, absolutely not. That if I'm going to a beach in Mexico, I'm getting a good night's sleep. And then the next day I'm going to be at the beach and no one's talking to me. And I will not be doing it with a headache. I'm going to be doing it with a book and the Diet Coke that I smuggled into Mexico, because they sell Coke Light there, which is not the same. Last time I went to Mexico, me and my sister took 2 36-packs of Diet Coke with us.
You snuck it in.
Well, I don't think it's illegal to take Diet Coke into Mexico.
It's 100% illegal.
Well, do you know anyone that could arrest me?
No.
Do you know any Mexican officials that would like to question me?
I'll send some letters.
You'll send some letters. All right. So at this point, 4 a.m., Joe's starting to feel tired. So he decides to go to bed. So Deb and Joe crawl into bed around 4 a.m. By 7 a.m., again, you've gotten 3 hours of drunken sleep.
Again.
What?
What?
This sounds like a nightmare from hell.
Listen, I'm all about vacation, man, but what's a vacation without some decent sleep?
Yeah. I think I said this sounds like a nightmare from hell. No, this sounds like a vacation, a nightmare of a vacation. Like, you get what I'm saying. So 7 a.m., they are woken up to the sound of Mario and Paul fighting with each other. Mario then tells his brother, I want to leave. I think at this point, too, everyone might still be a little intoxicated. So it seems like they're able to kind of calm everybody down, because his reasoning for leaving was that Paula was driving him crazy. And I'm pretty sure wasn't Paula the one who got them this condo?
Isn't it like a condo from a friend of a relative or a relative?
Yeah, a relative of Mario's girlfriend, Paula. So this is her connection.
It's her place, technically. Her place. She's the boss.
I mean, he's saying he wants to leave because she's driving him crazy. So, however, Joe tells him, just go to bed. Sleep it off. And Deborah was concerned because she knew that Mario really liked Paula. And this couldn't have been anything super serious. I think they just kind of chalk it up to a little bit of a overindulgence of the tequila. Everyone needed to get some sleep. So late the next morning, he and Paula appeared to have patched up their differences. According to Joe, they seemed happy. Nothing appeared to be wrong. He said that he was going to go to the bar. And that was the last time Joe, his brother, sees him. Yeah. When in Rome. I mean, you're on vacation in Mexico. So that afternoon, Joe and Deb take a romantic drive along the coast of Baja California. Baja California is beautiful. They assume that Mario and Paula are getting along fine. They left them the condo to themselves. They're going to just have a romantic afternoon alone. However, at one point, once again, the two get into an argument and she kicks him out of the condo. Around 4:30 p.m., police officers arrive at the condo after receiving reports that he had struck her. She declined to fire assault charges, but signed a complaint against him for being drunk and disorderly. He is then arrested for public drunkenness and disorderly conduct and taken to the police station. He is placed in a holding cell, however, never formally charged with a crime. According to the police, they wanted to hold him until he could sober up and pay a fine. 6:30 p.m., Joe and Deb return to the condo. They're surprised to find it vacant with a key under the mat. Or the key under the mat was missing. A maid from the condo complex explained that there had been problems a few hours earlier and that the police had came. Deb crawled through a window to get them inside. As they look around, they notice broken glasses in the kitchen, and almost immediately afterwards, 4 police officers show up asking for Paula by name. They wanted to know where she was. Joe and Deb suggest to check the bar, which I guess is right around the corner. So they are frantically looking for Paula, but they can't find her. However, a few moments later, Paula comes back to the condo, acting as if nothing was wrong. Joe and Deb ask her where Mario was, and she said she didn't know. 2 hours after
Paula does seem a little suspicious in this whole story, or at least that's how they paint it.
I will say, all the reports I found, she definitely, it's very weird to me that she didn't tell him what happened. Like, oh, your brother was arrested because he hit me and he was drunk outside. And there's something wrong with saying that. But there's also a part of me that is like, this lady invited her boyfriend to stay at her friend Condo's house. Now there's broken dishes everywhere. The police have come. She could have been really I would have been effing over it by that point.
It's a fair point.
Yeah. So 2 hours after she got home, a group of detectives show up at the condo. Joe still had no clue at this point that his brother had been arrested. The detectives inform him that Mario had passed away and to come to the police station to identify the body. I will say, I feel really bad for Joe this way because literally from not knowing anything to being told come down to the police station and ID a body, the whiplash that would have thrust upon somebody is insane. He's assuming that these people have made a mistake. They're in a foreign country. He just saw his brother this morning.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's like, what? He couldn't believe that this was happening. It feels like a nightmare. So he goes down to the police station, identifies his brother after being shown pictures of him lying on a concrete floor of the jail cell. His eyes were closed and he only was wearing his pants. Joe asked why he wasn't wearing more clothing. The detective said that sometime after 5 p.m., Mario had taken his own life by tying the sweater around his neck and the other end to a crossbar. He said the bar was only 3 feet off the ground. Joe could not understand how this would have happened from that height. And the detective said, well, he was very drunk and very heavy. We don't get any more information on that. It's just kind of what he was told.
That's rude.
I was fat. Body shaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just drunk and fat, so he could take his own life with 3 feet. That seems insane. But that's what he's told. So Joe asked why there wasn't anyone in the jail to stop a man from doing this. Why did no one intervene? The detective said that everyone was asleep at the time. Everyone in the whole prison had decided to take a siesta at 5:30 in the afternoon. He didn't believe.
Did you take a siesta?
Yeah.
At 5:30 in the afternoon?
I was still asleep for my siesta at 5:30. No joke. I assumed if I lay down at 3 that by 4:15 at the most, I'd be awake.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. It was dark in our room.
Good luck sleeping at night.
I know. My son came in and was like, are you feeling okay? Because our kind of rule of thumb here is house. If all of a sudden, especially my kids, if anyone takes a nap in the middle of the day and they're down for more than like an hour and a half, I assume buckle up. They're sick. No, I just think I was exhausted. So, okay, everyone took a nap. 5:30 in the afternoon. Everyone is asleep. So that's when this happened. Obviously, Joe is calling BS on this. He's not buying it, not even for a second. So Mario passed away 3 months shy of his 30th birthday. Joe was forced to return to the United States without his brother, which is heartbreaking. He went down there for a weekend trip and comes home without his brother. Mexican authorities refused to even release the body until they had completed their own autopsy, and they wouldn't tell Joe when they were going to get around to taking care of that. Within a week, the autopsy had been completed and lists the cause of death as loss of oxygen to the brain as a result of self-inflicted death. Joe believed that was, and I quote, preposterous. It's a good word. I don't know. We all need to use that word more often. It's a great word.
I do love that word.
Yeah. Preposterous.
It's preposterous.
Yes. So he recalled that one of the Mexican doctors who examined Mario's body had told him that Mario also had internal injuries and believed that he had been in a fight shortly before he had taken his own life.
What? Mm-hmm. He was beaten?
Yep. So Joe goes on to organize a demonstration at the Mexican border, holding up signs and wearing T-shirts of his brother's picture. He also contacts his congressman. Did you know that there's actually so many things you can contact your congressman over? Basically anything you're annoyed about, you can contact your congressman. We should, you guys, you all pay taxes. Start contacting your congressman when you are annoyed about everything.
I've called them multiple times.
Really?
Yeah.
I've got a list of complaints I'm sure I could come up with for this man or woman.
I called both my senators at one point, and I've contacted my congressperson multiple times. If you call their office in DC, someone will answer the phone.
You guys, this I feel like is an underutilized resource.
And I mean, it's just some low-level staffer.
It doesn't matter, but I think they're skirting under the fact that they actually are like supposed to take our phone calls pretty serious when we call about something.
I will say this. I contacted my congressperson a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. And I had some concerns and I brought him up. And it was just some low-level staffer. And he goes, I'm sorry, what? And I was like, yeah. 10 minutes later, that congressperson's chief of staff called me.
Oh.
So, yes, it works.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I guess I contacted our local, as in like for Pima County, there's several districts within Pima County. So this is like the most local. Like it's our HOA president, I feel like, and then this guy who can do stuff. Because Ben had a dog stolen from him. Like we don't have to get into the details about it, but he rescued a purebred Frenchie bulldog. And because it was found close to the border, there is always a suspicion that it could be from a different country, which means it has to go into quarantine. And magically, the Humane Society here, long story short, they stole the dog from Ben. And so I contacted our local Pima County, like chairman or whatever. And I will say, like, I got a response pretty quickly. Now, nothing ever came from it in the fact that he did claim he looked into it. And then I think even followed up that he had reached out and done several things. And he was just getting like ignored and pushed back from our local Humane Society, which is sad because I like to support our local Humane Society, but don't steal purebred animals. ... Okay. So Congressman Berman noted that the autopsy performed in Mexico confirmed the report of the jailers in Tijuana that Mario had taken his own life by hanging himself with his own sweater. He stated in the report from local foreign authorities that the prisoner killed himself. It always makes sense to view that kind of report with some suspicion. He believed that suicide by hanging is the quote, oldest excuse for a jail murder that has been ever given. Fair. As soon as Mario bodies returned to the United States, Joe hired an independent pathologist to conduct a second autopsy. That autopsy concluded that internal injuries to Mario's liver were strong evidence that he had been punched in the upper abdomen. The report stated, in light of such injuries, the victim would have not been likely to have been able to hang himself. You have to be beat pretty bad to have that kind of injuries.
Yeah, this guy was beaten pretty bad.
I'm going to guess he showed up drunk and disorderly and angry and pissed off and probably was mouthy. Not to say that it justified, but I can see absolutely where a physical altercation ensued and it went too far.
And then they covered it up.
The pathologist believed that Mario was most likely passed out or went into shock due to internal bleeding from his injuries. Congressman Berman believes that Mario was beaten and then hung or choked with an unknown instrument, not his sweater, to make it look like he had taken his own life. Ultimately, in October of 1992, the Los Angeles coroner reviewed both the American and the foreign autopsy report and determined that Mario had likely been murdered. After reviewing autopsy photographs, he noticed an abrasion or welt on the neck that was inconsistent by being hung with a sweater. He believed that it was caused by a thin cord or rope. He also noted abrasions on his back and scalp and hemorrhaging that seemed inconsistent with suicide. Joe believes that his injuries indicated that Mario was dragged into a cell before he was hung. And there's another disturbing element of this case, the fact that Mexican authorities violated international agreements by not contacting the U.S. consulate as quickly as possible following the death of an American citizen. Congressman Berman believes that a cover-up took place and the people involved in his death did not want authorities coming quickly to the scene of a crime.
And I'll say this.
Mm-hmm.
The consulate spokesperson, the Mexican consulate spokesperson.
Yeah.
So arrogant.
Yeah.
The way he said, like, he tries to just
brush this off.
And he almost says it with like a smirk on his face. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying he's just the spokesperson.
It seems like the other side of the coin, which at this point is the Tijuana and Mexican authorities were very flippant about it.
And he's just pretty much saying, well, yeah, we didn't have to contact the consulate because a family member was present. So, like, he's almost like, what's your problem with that?
Yeah.
Like, what? And
it just very much seemed they were just hoping that this would just go away. And it didn't. So, all right. So, eventually, Congressman Berman contacted the then president of Mexico. His name is Carlos Sanalias de Gortata.
I am pretty certain that is not how you say it.
Gordita. How is that better?
Are we talking from a Taco Bell menu here?
That's my extent of Spanish is Taco Bell Spanish. Carlos.
You don't have to keep trying.
Okay.
It was just the president of Mexico at the time.
We're going to go by Carlos. President Carlos promised to reopen the investigation. And in January of 1993, his body is exhumed for a third autopsy. And they believe that the truth will come out, and they're making the U.S. working with the U.S. government. He says the cooperation is necessary because there are witnesses and evidence in the United States. Joe would like to see the people who killed his brother to suffer for it because he and the rest of his family's loved ones are suffering. He said that Mario's death will not just go away, and he wants their lives to be ruined. This brother is like...
Yeah, he's
angry.
He's very upset.
And I don't think he's saying anything wrong that people haven't thought or felt before when they are the victims of a family member being in a crime. Yeah. Right. I think by the time people are interviewed about it, they're a little bit more polished or have like counsel.
No, he's upset.
Attorney counsel of how they say things. And he's willing to say whatever he wants.
So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's kind of where Unsolved Mystery leaves us.
All right, give us an update.
Unresolved. I'm not surprised. International crimes.
It's a mess.
Are a mess
every time.
So as a result of the third autopsy, which was performed in March of 1993, enough evidence was found to prove that there was murder, not that he had taken his own life. The main thing being that fibers found embedded within the skin folds of his neck were determined to come from a rope, not a sweater.
Mm.
It was also noted that the trauma of his neck was too narrow to have been caused by a sleeve or a part of the sweater. Okay? One problem solved in the fact that we do know that he did not take his own life. And in May 8th of 1993, a 35-year-old named Jose Antonio Zacco Flores was arrested. Why do they have 4 names? Of course, because I can't pronounce any of them. Was arrested and charged with Mario's murder. He was a municipal police officer assigned to the jail in the area. One witness, a robbery suspect being held in an adjoining cell, claimed that Mario argued with him and insulted Flores, who then angrily entered the cell. The witness heard shouts and a sound of a blow and then heard Mario cry out in pain. A few minutes later, Mario was found dead, and the witness was not interviewed during the initial police investigation. Another witness came forward, gave kind of a similar story, yada, yada, yada. Long story short, he was found guilty and charged with murder.
Well, guilty in U.S. court or Mexican
Mexico court.
Okay. ...
4 months later, May 1996, an appeals court overturned the conviction and he was released. Under Mexican law, he cannot be tried again.
Okay.
I always find foreign justice systems so fascinating because everyone does it differently.
Yeah.
So the court claimed that Mario's autopsy did not, in fact, rule out suicide, and that if a murder had occurred, Flores appeared to not be on duty that day or did not seem to be in the jail at the time that it occurred. So,
okay.
Mario's case technically remains unsolved. Joe believes that at least 2 officers were involved within the murder. So sadly, in 95, Mario's father passed away. Joe and Deb later did marry. And he's still hoping to find out who was responsible for his brother's murder.
That's tough.
It seems like from some stuff I read on unsolved.com, one of the comments claimed to be a nephew of the family, that the family does believe that the original man arrested was and convicted was the actual person, because he claims that he wasn't at work that day, but he was the arresting officer.
Yeah.
It's wild to me that if you get something overturned, you can't be tried again, because double jeopardy doesn't work like that here in the United States.
Yeah, just because your conviction is overturned, overturning does not mean
exonerated.
Mm-hmm. It just means that if they can retry you, they just have to bring forth.
For a judge just to be like, according to them.
Yeah, but it's just
say that it wasn't suicide. It's like, it's been classified as a murder.
By us.
Yeah.
Not by them.
Yeah. But the third autopsy was done in conjunction with the Mexican president.
It was done in the U.S. with the Mexican president saying, yeah, hey, that's fine.
Send us the information.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that is your episode, season 5, episode 4 of Unsolved Mysteries. We've got We're quitting.
That's it.
No.
99.
Right before 100.
99. That's it.
Yeah.
Out.
No, we've got to. Finishing is important. Finishing what we set out to do is important.
We did. 99.
We set out to do.
My contract says 99 episodes.
Your contract is 10 to life, my love. And I'm sorry, we're on the life side of things.
My contract says 99 episodes.
Your contract says till death and beyond.
99 episodes.
All right. Quick question for Chitty Chat Time with Ben. Do you have to have a blanket when you sleep and nap?
Yes.
Not true for napping for you. I've seen you nap in every weird way.
I don't have to have one for napping.
Mm-hmm. But
I will say, if I'm going to take a good nap.
Because you tell us your categories of naps.
Well, I am a master napper.
Don't start anything with master napper.
A master napper. Are you good?
No. You guys, I'm delusional right now. Okay, yes.
I can sleep sitting up. I can take a 10-minute, 20, 30-minute nap and get back up and go.
You can literally take a nap and close your eyes and fall asleep within seconds.
I took a 10-minute nap on the couch yesterday because I was so tired. I just laid down in the most comfortable position I could get myself in, which wasn't very comfortable. Fell asleep for 10 minutes and I was like, all right, that's it. So,
yeah, I've seen you nap with your head against a tree, a rock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm real napping.
I'm so jealous of people like you. Do you know what I would give to be able to nap on an airplane?
I can do that.
Oh, I know you fall asleep hard on an airplane. And I've slept once on an airplane. And when we landed, I went to the doctor the next day and I was diagnosed with influenza because I was so sick on the flight home from Orlando. That's the only time I've slept. But what I would do to be able to just close my eyes and then wake up in my destination.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just sleeping sitting up, it's never great, but I can get a good
always jealous
20, 30-minute one.
Everyone has someone on a flight that just passes out and they sleep 2+ hours on your flight. And I want to strangle them and also give them a round of applause at the same time. But yeah, you are a master good napper in the fact that you can doze off.
If I want a good nap, I have to lay down and get a blanket on. And then that's me telling my body, hey, dude, we're sleeping for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it happens. And yes, when I go to bed, I have to have blankets. It's not even about warmth. It's about the light, weight.
Lifty blanket.
No, it's the weight. I need the weight on me.
Which is a struggle here in Arizona because it's hot.
It's hot. It's tough. But I need it. All right. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, the way I was able to take a nap today is not normal for me. I rarely can nap. Most of the time when I tell people I'm going to go lay down for a nap, I come into my room and I either listen to a podcast or I listen to my book. And I always set a timer for between 30 and 45 minutes. And once my book turns off or my podcast turns off, I get up. But I feel refreshed, but I don't actually ever drift into sleep. But I was thinking about this today because it's 106 degrees outside. It's the middle of the day. It's like peak heat. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. And our room gets majority of the heat in the morning and afternoon. And then the sun sets on the other side of the house. So it's the warmest in our room that it's going to be. And I came in here, closed the blinds. I have to have white noise. You guys, I am a princess when it comes to how everything has to be in order for me to sleep because my brain doesn't stop thinking. And I turned the fan on, so I had some white noise. I made sure the kids were all taken care of. And I put on my eye mask. It's black out. It is noise in my room. And I laid down. And yeah, I passed out hard. But I thought, I don't want to have a blanket on because it's hot in our room. But I have to have one. I don't think I could have laid down and taken the nap that I did without the blanket. And then I thought, I don't think I can sleep without a blanket on. And where does that come from? Because it's doing nothing for me for warmth. And I had a light blanket on, so it wasn't even about the weight, but it's something about just that little bit of I don't know.
It's a hug.
It's a hug. A blanket is a hug. And a good blanket, oh. That's something about getting older. When you can buy some quality blankets, there is something about a nice blanket when you find one you like.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm a blanket snob.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have the right blanket.
All right, guys. Well, I'd love to know how many people listen to this podcast as they decide to also drift off into nighttime land or to naps. Do you think people listen to us as they're falling asleep?
I hope not. That'd be weird. That would be weird.
People listen to true crime podcasts all the time to fall asleep. And this one is long enough that you
called
could listen
psychos.
No. Falling asleep to forensic files is a core memory. When we were first married, because this is before like audiobooks, I had to fall asleep with the TV on. Ben, not so much. We've all learned Ben's a psychopath and can fall asleep in less than 5 seconds. But I would turn on forensics files to fall asleep to at night.
It's weird.
It's just very relaxing.
I hope people are not listening.
If you listen to us as you fall asleep, please let us know.
Don't.
Leave it in the comments in Spotify.
Nah.
Ben doesn't want to know.
I don't want to. That's weird.
You feel weird talking to people as they're drifting off to sleep?
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, make sure to join us next week where we have our 100th episode.
Are we going to party?
We're going to party.
Let's not.
We're going to have a huge party.
Contract's up.
Contract is not up, but join us next week for our 100th episode and where we recap your original gateway drug into true crime.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.